Anybody can do this under deep study and focus. And let me tell you something. I guarantee you they're leading us towards the destruction of all life on this planet. We don't have long until mechanisms are triggered in this downward spiral that are going to lead to things that if God doesn't intervene, no flesh would be left alive. The Bible says the elites will run to the mountains, under the mountains and the caves, and beg the rocks to fall on their heads. Revelation says they traffic in the souls of men. I never knew what that meant till I researched the globalists. They do. That's what they're into. They love screwing people up. They love giving people false data. They love seeing people under literal spells. That's what it is. It's a scientific spell. When Coney 2012 has these promo videos where they're going, hi, we're your friends, oh, loving, ooh, ooh. And it's real, getting into being silly and foolish. And we're going to have a war to save the children. And that's going to be mass war and death with a bunch of weird potbellies dancing around going, ooh, ooh. And you're like, well, that's stupid. Why do they do that? No, it's like, it's been scientifically figured out that's how you destroy people. I'm going to play this later. Paul Watson's been holding for like 30 minutes. I just wanted to get him on to talk to him. And by the end of the show, he's got this article coming out that he's not even going to get to yet. But, I mean, when you've read thousands of these documents, no kidding, over the last 17 years, where there's hundreds of them about how they're going to kill everybody once the world government's in place, how they're putting the poison in the water, the lithium, the Prozacs, variants, how the public's mesmerized, how DARPA and CIA run Google. And I just hope all of you people out there who are running this system, I hope you enjoy yourselves. Because you're not just going to destroy the general public. You are guaranteed to destroy yourselves, 100%. And we need to turn back now. This needs to stop right now. Now, I'm going to go to Watson. You had to be there. And I called Watson about this. I leave my house out in the country. I'm driving in towards 290. And on a road where people drive between 55 and 70, depending on which area of the road it is, different speed limits, people began slamming on their brakes in the middle of the highway to then turn across the medians, almost crashing into traffic, not once, not twice, but 3 times in a space of about 6 miles. I would then notice with my eagle eyes that I still think, God, I used to have 2015 vision. It's 2020 now. God, as I lose my vision, it's terrible. I was able to notice each time they were all on cell phones. They had cell phones in front of them while driving like psychomaniacs. I called Watson and I said, these people are in a trance. We need to do more articles on the study showing the public in a trance. These new neural interface TV programs and 3D and all the stuff they're getting us ready for. In fact, I have some of the articles here that I had the guys print how the new video games are going to interface with the human brain. In fact, I just had them here in my stack, but I guess more stuff's been brought in, so I don't have it in front of me. And the point is that I'm driving, and I call Watson, and I tell him about this, and he says, no, I'm seeing it too. By the way, everybody in the office is saying they see it. You know, they go in shops, everybody's like in zombie mode, people can't even talk. They all have this little giggling, burbling, like 3-year-old thing, because they're in an imaginary world. That's what a trance is, a spell. That's just an ancient term for scientific manipulation, a mind game, hypnotizing somebody. There it is. Sony patents techniques of beaming info into brain, not just audio. That's Reuters. Of course, that was 5 years ago. It's now been implemented. And so each little upgrade of the computers gets you deeper into the control system until you just become, quote, a wirehead that Philip K. Dick wrote about 30 years ago, where they just wire you in, and there's so much pleasure from being wired in. And the elites wrote 70, 80 years ago about having surrogates, you know, biological androids that they have a computer connection to that actually go out, and then the globalists live in their little tanks. And I'm not saying this is going to happen, but this is what they're trying to set up. This is what these loons, geniuses as they are, I mean, they envisioned this 100 years ago and are bringing it to fruition. And they're willing to wreck the biosphere, wreck every plant and animal species, human DNA, so that you've got to go to them to be able to have children. They want to play God. And I'm driving, and right as I get on 290, it's before they have the medium there, before it rises up. It's 3-lane. You know, there's routinely bicyclers that just come right out in 70-mile-an-hour traffic now. Pedestrians, I see them just walking out. People are getting killed everywhere. They're in trances. They don't have regular self-preservation mechanism. The globalists have turned it off electronically and chemically, psychologically and spiritually. It all ties together. I see this woman driving a dark gold, kind of bronze, those little hybrid cars. I think it's one of the Fords. The police listing will know because she had the wreck. And she shot in the other lane of traffic. People stopped. I pulled over for a minute but went on because aid was rendered. And I need to get to the office. But the point is, I'm driving, just hang up with Watson. And I'm trying to keep back because everybody's driving like psychos. And I see this woman erratically coming out of the slow lane into the middle lane and cars getting back. And I go, I bet she's texting. I want to be able to tell people if she, because I just saw 3 cars slam on their brakes. And I saw that 2 of them were texting. When they get in the median, they'd pull over and still be, you know, slamming their brake. I mean, you know, ready to die, ready to have their backs broken. Just no connection to reality. Just like the shrimp that end up getting on Prozac from runoff that swim up to the fish to be eaten or to the birds. Just right up to birds to be eaten. They just don't care. Bet money she was on some type of Prozac. And she starts going like this. So I pull up to see, just like I saw about a year ago driving into Port Aransas to take my kids fishing. I saw a giant gas truck, natural gas, in 2 lanes driving like a maniac, like he'd had 18 gallons of Jack Daniels. And I pulled up, and sure enough, he was watching a video with it in front of him. That's how addicted they are. He's driving with a full load, so I could see the axles down, of natural gas. It's a natural gas truck. And he's got it in front of him, and he's all out of the lanes. Now, again, that's how mesmerized they are by the computer screen and by TV. So this guy, we're going to Watson, was doing that. This woman, I pull up, there she is, looking and texting, and with one arm going like this, going 70 miles an hour, getting up onto 290. And I back off to observe. I'm about to take my camera up, even though that's not really safe, but I'm conscious in driving, and show some video to, and she goes, boom, cutting across 3 lanes straight. And as I see her right in front of me, still looking at the screen in zombie land, in a mesmerized, sleepwalking state, shooting across the grass median, because she'd been dead, going 70 if she'd have hit dividers that were just 100 yards up as you'd go up, shooting in front of 2 concrete trucks, spinning around, and then gently slamming up against the wall, and then cars stopped to help her. She had already turned in front of 3 lanes of traffic. They have so no wonder they don't care if there's about to be a war with Iran. Of course they tell the military, go ahead and use DU even though it's going to kill them. Of course they raise the level of radiation thousands of times and say it's safe. Of course. I mean, this is a public being murdered by chemical and biological weapons, total tyranny, way of life being destroyed, everything falling apart. Troops are going crazy, going into villages and killing 16 people in their houses for fun. We are a nation in a coma. We are under mind control. And you're going to start seeing more of it. I'm predicting now, you're going to see more pedestrians walking out in front of cars and walking off cliffs and more people wrecking everywhere because the public is going to go completely into Zombieville. I predict you're going to start seeing people not going to work and just staying in their houses. They're already wireheads. They're already plugged in. Watson, I know you're working on the article while you sit there on Skype waiting, but did I call you this morning and say that cars were slamming on their brakes and driving like psychopaths everywhere?
That's right, Alex. And I mean, there was another one recently, wasn't there? There was a surveillance camera footage above a train platform, and a woman lets go of a baby stroller and it rolls across the platform towards the tracks. And then there's a guy walking past looking at his cell phone. He looks up at the baby stroller, but just lets it roll past him onto the tracks. And they managed to save the baby by about 10 seconds before it got hit by a train. So you see those kind of stories nearly every day now with this zombified population.
And we're not using zombified as a term. Folks, the brainwaves, Paul, I want to go big on this. I want to get all the data together that we've covered over the years and really show people scientifically, to the scientific elite that isn't totally controlled, and say, is this really what you want? Because so they can control us, they've zombified the public. Because they've got to turn it up high enough to like really control those that would be resisting them. So only the very few can break through the programming. But by doing that, I mean, it is just, stay there. We're going to talk about it when we come back. You don't need me. Paul Watson has gotten his article up, and I know he's going to add some of the news clips where they're promoting lithium in the water. But here's the Atlantic, big establishment liberal publication, how engineering the human body could combat climate change. And they go on to say the elite want to add chemicals and biologicals to our food and water to make us small little creatures, elfin creatures, to not hurt the earth. And then how they're going to ban eating meat and use operant condition to totally control us. And again, I tell you about this stuff 10 years ago that was in all the policy reports. You'd laugh at me. Now it's out in the open. And you are being engineered by the flicker rate, by the TV. I think even with my shows, just because of the nature of it, everybody should pretty much not watch television, but listen to it. You definitely need to not watch mainstream television. Because that's where it's really full of propaganda, not just with the flicker rate, but the actual message. We need to read more with old-fashioned books. We need to realize we're in a fight for human consciousness more now than ever. Paul, I know that we've said this before, but when I say it's an epiphany, it hit me. This is the battle. This is everything. And this is what the globalists are all about. You brought up people now more and more all over the world seeing a woman bleeding to death, a cop run over by a car, and they're not helping people. That's because the globalists have engineered not resisting tyranny, not resisting threats. I tell the story of the people not helping the woman choking to death. And I had to push him out of the way, and they were just saying, 911, 911, she would have died. I mean, it literally, they've turned people into jellyfish cattle. Paul Watson.
But they've got a solution for us, Alex. It's the pharmacological enhancement of empathy and altruism. They're going to give us drugs which influence our behavior so that we're more environmentally aware, according to this New York bioethicist professor who's come out with this paper.
But it hasn't worked very well because they put sodium fluoride in there and the other things to reduce fertility and dumb us down. I mean, I guess more is needed?
Well, they say that basically the biggest problem is climate change, and to combat climate change, we need, quote, biomedical modifications of humanity. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, this is not going to apply to the elite, just as the Plandopolis vision for the future showed, you know, all the slaves weren't allowed to drive cars, only the rich people were. So it only applies to the serfs, obviously. But they're going to basically inject children with embryos to make them small, like you said in Brave New World at the beginning, where it's all this subclass race of tiny dwarf-like people. But it's for the good of the planet. And so that's why...
By the way, Huxley said that was the plan, and his brother founded UNESCO, which is the policy center for Agenda 21.
But now it's trendy. Apparently it's trendy now, and it's for the planet. So the moral equivalency of that trumps the moral equivalency of genetically engineering babies in labs. Apparently that's trendy now and liberal and touchy-feely, not a scientific dictatorship, according to this professor. So, I mean, yeah, talking about giving people patches or drugs which make them adverse to meat. So, of course, that'll completely collapse a massive part of the economy, but it's for the good of the planet.
But they're not drugging us now, even though they've done Associated Press water studies in all the major cities and find levels of drugs that shouldn't be there, even from runoff, like serotonin reuptake inhibitor. And it's not one particular brand or molecule, it's the general base generic version. They're already drugging your water, ladies and gentlemen. So let's be clear. I've got Fox News, Japanese TV, no exaggeration, hundreds of university, UN, Club of Rome documents saying in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, we're going to drug the water to reduce population, all this stuff.